Even famous people aren't above the law. Over the years, many celebrities have ended up behind bars, including big names like comedian Tim Allen, lifestyle icon Martha Stewart, and actor Kiefer Sutherland. For some, offenses are minor, like DUI charges or financial crimes, leading to short sentences. Many of these stars are able to reflect on their mistakes, serve their time, and return to their lives with society's forgiveness. But then there are celebrities whose crimes are far more serious, so serious that they end up serving years, even decades in prison. These individuals have been involved in shocking cases, from major drug operations to violent crimes, and some are behind bars for offenses that fans will never forget. While a few have admitted to breaking the law, others maintain their innocence. What happens next for these celebrities is uncertain. Some may remain out of the public eye forever, while others could pass away before their sentences are completed. No matter the outcome, their legacies are now tied to their actions and the choices that led them down this dark path. Suge Knight, hip-hop star Marion Hugh. Suge Knight Jr. was the CEO of Death Row Records, and in January 2015, he had an altercation with a man named Clee Bone Sloan, who worked on the biopic Straight Outta Compton, according to the Cinemaholic. The fight got so intense that Knight ended up grazing Sloan with his vehicle and running over a man named Terry Carter, who died from his injuries. Knight initially claimed his actions were in self-defense and that he was being chased by two armed men. 3 years later, Knight entered a plea deal and was sentenced to 22 years in prison for voluntary manslaughter and 6 years for a third strike violation, which totaled 28 years behind bars. He has been serving time at the Richard J. Donovan Correctional Facility in San Diego County, California, since 2018 and isn't eligible for parole until 2037. Not long after he was sent to prison, Knight claimed that Dr. Dre was behind a plot to assassinate him. He told the Blast it was an offensive scheme with a paper trail and proof that Dre was involved in a plan that would get rid of Knight. Austin Jones. Austin Jones was among the first wave of celebrities who used YouTube to make themselves famous and get a mainstream entertainment career going. In 2007, and while still a teenager, Jones made videos of himself singing well-known songs, both unadorned or with some acoustic guitar accompaniment. Branding himself an emo a cappella singer, Jones rolled out original material, released multiple albums, and toured, all while maintaining his status as a YouTube sensation, attracting more than 500,000 subscribers who watched his videos many millions of times. As Jones was a youthful-looking teen idol type, many of the fans he attracted were female, teenage, and younger. Jones used his platform and fame to exploit them. In 2017, the singer was arrested after he reportedly used Facebook to encourage his followers, some as young as 14, to send him explicit images and videos. Jones agreed to a plea bargain, and in 2019, a Chicago judge sentenced YouTube personality to 10 years in prison, Elizabeth Holmes. In 2014, Elizabeth Holmes looked to be a revolutionary in both technology and medicine. The 30-year-old Stanford University dropout was hailed as one of the youngest self-made billionaires in history and compared to innovators like Steve Jobs after she founded Theranos, a company built around a cutting-edge device called the Edison test. Holmes claimed that with just a few drops of blood, the Edison test could accurately diagnose myriad medical conditions without the need for painful, invasive, expensive, and time-consuming tests. Investors clamored to put their money in Holmes and Theranos, which reached a $9 billion valuation. By 2016, however, it was all exposed as too good to be true. The Edison test didn't actually do what it purported to do. Theranos fizzled out, and Holmes was accused of and then charged with fraud. A jury ruled that Holmes was well aware that her technology didn't work when she convinced investors to fund Theranos. Facing 11 counts at the federal court level, Theranos was found guilty in January 2022 on 4 charges. The jury decided Holmes was guilty of defrauding patients and conspiracy to defraud patients, but couldn't decide on the counts regarding defrauding investors. In November 2022, Judge Edward Davila sentenced Holmes to 11 years and 3 months in prison, 3 years of supervised release post-parole, $400 in fines, and an order to pay restitution. In 2023, Holmes saw her sentence reduced to 9 years, meaning she'll be a free person in 2032. Michael Jace. Michael Jace, who you may know for the television police drama The Shield, shot his wife in front of their two children in their Los Angeles home in 2014. He was sentenced to 40 years in prison. The motive for the killing appeared to be jealousy. His wife, April Jace, wanted a divorce, and the 53-year-old actor was convinced she was dating another man. When April returned to their home on May 19, 2014, Michael shot her several times while their sons, ages 8 and 5, looked on. He called 911 and his father-in-law after the incident and admitted to the crime. Michael had a history of violent behavior. A friend of his first wife revealed in a sworn statement during a 2005 custody case that he had choked and hit his wife and slammed her against the wall. Michael's acting career spanned 2 decades. He also appeared in the show Southland and played basketball legend Michael Jordan in the made-for-TV movie Michael Jordan, An American Hero. Harvey Weinstein. Film mogul Harvey Weinstein, once one of Hollywood's most powerful producers, is now serving time in prison after being found guilty of serious crimes. In 2018, Weinstein was arrested in New York and charged with multiple offenses following allegations brought forward by dozens of women over the years. The case was built around accusations from 2 individuals, Miriam Haley and Jessica Mann, while many others spoke out about their experiences. Before his trial began, Weinstein posted $1 million bail and was ordered to wear an ankle monitor. He continued to deny the charges, maintaining that the encounters were consensual. In 2020, Weinstein was found guilty of committing a criminal act against Miriam Haley and another serious charge involving Jessica Mann. He was sentenced to 23 years in prison and is now a registered offender. Weinstein's case marked a significant moment in Hollywood and beyond, sparking important conversations about accountability and justice in the entertainment industry. R. Kelly. Singer R. Kelly was arrested on July 11, 2019, in Chicago on serious federal charges. Alongside a few associates, Kelly was accused of recruiting young girls, isolating them from their families, and controlling them to prevent them from seeking help, according to reports from the Chicago Tribune. An indictment was filed in a U.S. District Court in New York, while Chicago prosecutors also claimed Kelly paid off witnesses and victims during a 2008 trial. Kelly's trial in New York faced delays due to the COVID pandemic. While awaiting trial in a Chicago federal jail, Kelly was attacked in August 2020 by another inmate, which reportedly left him with a concussion. In June 2022, R. Kelly was sentenced to 30 years in prison following a conviction on trafficking charges. Later that September, he was also found guilty of producing illegal content, with his legal team requesting the sentence be reduced to 11 years. His case remains one of the most high-profile downfalls in the music industry, leaving behind a legacy forever marked by controversy. Shannon Richardson. In 2013, actress Shannon Richardson, known for her role on The Walking Dead, pleaded guilty to developing, producing, possessing, and transferring a toxin with the intent to use it as a weapon, according to the Texarkana Gazette. She mailed threatening, poison-laced letters to then-President Barack Obama and 2 other people. Richardson bought supplies for the plot using a credit card, an account under her husband's name, and she made the poison ricin using castor beans in the home she shared with her husband and 4 children. She was also pregnant while making the concoction. She mailed the letters to Obama, New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg, and a man named Michael Glaze, who was employed by Mayors Against Illegal Guns. The FBI collected and examined all of the correspondence. Richardson wrote about gun control in the letters and tried to set up her husband for the crime by planting evidence in his car and lunchbox. Despite her attempt to frame him, she was arrested in 2013 and eventually given an 18-year sentence. Richardson is serving time in a federal prison in Fort Worth, Texas, and could be released in 2029. She is not eligible for parole. Kid Creole. Nathaniel Glover, better known as Kid Creole, is a founding member of the pioneering hip-hop group Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. In 2017, at the age of 61, Glover was arrested and charged with second degree after stabbing a man named John Jolly during an altercation in Midtown Manhattan, as reported by The Source. Glover later shared his side of the story, claiming he acted in self-defense. He disputed accusations of being homophobic and explained that he initially believed Jolly was trying to pick him up before the situation escalated. According to Glover, Jolly became aggressive and followed him, prompting the fatal confrontation. In a 2021 interview, Glover expressed his struggles, saying, "I'm suffering. I'm locked in a room 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, not knowing what my fate is going to be because my case is dragging on." The trial finally took place in 2022, where Glover was convicted of manslaughter. He was sentenced to 16 years in prison, as reported by the New York Times. Glover's story is a somber chapter in the life of a hip-hop legend whose legacy is now shadowed by this tragic incident. Todd and Julie Chrisley. Todd and Julie Chrisley achieved widespread recognition for their reality show, Chrisley Knows Best, which first debuted in 2014. The program follows the married couple and their children in the South as they go about their lives as a regular family. That just happens to be incredibly rich. So how did the Chrisley clan get so wealthy? Well, Todd is a highly successful entrepreneur and real estate developer who applies his uncompromising business ethics to governing his family, leading to no shortage of drama. Despite Todd's ever-watchful eye on the goings-on of his household, there's always someone getting into trouble or causing some turmoil. Chrisley Knows Best was popular enough to lead to various spin-offs, including, according to Chrisley, web series What's Cooking with Julie Chrisley, and podcast Chrisley Confessions. Unfortunately, things got even more real for the reality TV family when Todd and Julie found themselves embroiled in a difficult legal problem. According to ET, the couple were charged with tax evasion, conspiracy, bank fraud, and wire fraud on August 12, 2019. This culminated on June 7, 2022, with the both of them being found guilty on all counts, though with separate sentences. CNN states that Todd's 12-year sentence is being spent at FPC Pensacola as Julie spends her sentence of 7 years at FMC Lexington, Kentucky. In 2023, the couple's prison sentences were shortened, with Todd expected to be released in 2033 and Julie in 2028. Joe Exotic. Joe Exotic entered the public consciousness with the release of the massively popular 2020 Netflix documentary series, Tiger King. It chronicled the bizarre world of big cat collectors with an emphasis on the even more bizarre Exotic, who, in addition to running the GW Zoo in Wynwood, Oklahoma, also dabbled in guns, cultivating a career in country music, and running for political office. The docu-series shone a spotlight on the cast of eccentric characters that populated the world of big cat collecting and the madcap antics they got up to. However, the highlight of the show was Exotic's intensifying clashes with Carol Baskin, an animal rights activist, which culminated in his attempt to eliminate her for good by hiring a hitman for $3,000. Of course, Exotic's murder-for-hire scheme didn't go unnoticed by the authorities, nor did his other unlawful actions. According to CNN, his other crimes included the killing of 5 tigers, selling baby lemurs despite filing them as donations, and other wildlife violations. In 2020, the United States Attorney's Office Western District of Oklahoma handed Exotic a 22-year prison sentence, in addition to 3 years of supervised release after he served his sentence. Bloomberg Law states that, while he managed to reduce his sentence by 1 year previously, Exotic's 2022 appeal to decrease it by another 8.5 years was shot down by the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 10th Circuit. Josh Duggar. Josh Duggar's claim to fame is one of 10 sons, among 19 total children, of the Duggar family, the focus of the reality TV series, 19 Kids and Counting. Because the family is so devoted to their Baptist faith, parents Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar have been open about not using birth control, which is why they have so many offspring. While a big part of the show's fascination lies in seeing how the two parents deal with raising so many kids at once, it's the strict religious manner with which the family functions that has made 19 Kids and Counting so interesting to watch. In the Duggar household, the children are only allowed to watch family-friendly TV shows. Modest clothing must be worn, and chaperone courtship is practiced. Unfortunately, those rigid religious beliefs didn't prevent the Duggars' oldest child, Josh Duggar, from engaging in various crimes. Newsweek states that Josh first attracted controversy in 2015 when word spread of his supposed molestation of multiple young girls, among which were several of his sisters. His legal troubles got worse when he was charged with possession of child pornography, to which he pleaded not guilty. As stated in 40/29 News, Josh was found guilty on the charges of receiving and possessing child pornography in 2021, resulting in a prison sentence lasting 12 years and 7 months. Despite an appeal in 2023, Josh's sentence was upheld. Ryan Grantham. Ryan Grantham was a young Canadian actor whose career once held so much promise until he threw it all away with a terrible mistake. Throughout his relatively brief acting stint, he appeared in almost 40 movies and TV shows. His acting debut was in the 2007 television movie The Secret of the Nutcracker, which was followed by a role in the big-budget sci-fi action film Jumper in 2008. Grantham was seen in a variety of other film and TV projects before showing up in some higher-profile movies as Little Anton in Terry Gilliam's The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, and Rodney James in Diary of a Wimpy Kid. The rest of Grantham's career largely consisted of TV shows such as iZombie, Supernatural, and Riverdale, his final acting credit. However, Grantham's auspicious career in Hollywood came to a tragic end when on March 31, 2020, shot his mother in the back of the head, reports the New York Times. Long after his brutal crime, Grantham made a video confession and even planned to kill Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. He decided not to, ultimately turning himself over to the authorities the following day. Grantham was given a lifelong prison sentence with the possibility of parole after 14 years. His attorney, Chris Johnson, recently revealed to TMZ that the imprisoned actor advised me that he's doing well, getting the help he needs, and has gained some insight into what happened and why. He regrets what he did to his mother. Michael A. Walker Jr., Tory Lanez, whose real name is Daystar Shemuel Shua Peterson, was a rapper who first garnered widespread attention with the release of his 2013 mixtape, Conflicts of My Soul, The 416 Story. 3 years later, after signing to Benny Blanco's record label, Mad Love Records, in a collaboration with Interscope Records, Lanez released his first full-length album, I Told You. The album was a considerable success, largely due to its hit singles Say It and Love, the latter of which received a Grammy Award nomination for Best R&B Song. Lanez capitalized on his popularity in 2018 with 2 more albums, Memories Don't Die and Love Me Now. The album of his that ranked highest on the Billboard 200 chart was 2019's Chicks Tape 5, which came in at number 2. However, what started out as the beginnings of a long and successful career as a hip-hop and R&B artist was cut short when, in 2020, Lanez shot popular recording artist Megan Thee Stallion with an unregistered semi-automatic firearm, leaving her with minor injuries, as stated in AP News. He was found guilty of multiple charges and remained in jail until his sentencing in August 2023, where he received 10 years in prison. Amy Locaine. Amy Locaine is an actress who got her first big break with a recurring role as Andrea Winger in the short-lived 1980s sitcom Spencer. She mostly stuck to television for the next few years, but it wasn't long until she made her leap to the big screen in 1989's Lost Angels, which also starred Donald Sutherland and Adam Horovitz. Locaine followed this up with an even higher-profile film, the 1990 comedy musical Crybaby, alongside Johnny Depp and Ricky Lake. The rest of the 1990s saw the actress appear in a wide range of projects, including the hit TV series Melrose Place, the acclaimed drama Blue Sky, the biopic Prefontaine, and more. Locaine's acting career experienced a massive setback when, after leaving a rap party for a theater production she was a part of in 2010, she had too much to drink and caused 2 car accidents, as per The Guardian. However, it was the second accident that really got her into trouble, as she crashed into the car of Fred Seaman, resulting in the death of his wife, Helene Seaman. The actress was found guilty of 2 charges and was given an initial sentence of 5 years in prison, which was brought down to 3. But Locaine's legal battles didn't end there. Despite being paroled, it was revealed that she has been given multiple sentences since she was first convicted in 2012 on the grounds that her initial sentences were not harsh enough. In 2020, she received a sentence of 8 years. Danny Masterson. As a child and young teenager, Danny Masterson appeared on popular TV shows like Jake and The Fat Man, Roseanne, and Sybil, as well as the family film Beethoven Second. His big break came when he landed the role of sarcastic, rebellious Stephen Hyde on Fox's hit comedy That 70s Show, a role he played for 8 seasons. After the series ended in 2006, Masterson shifted focus to his side career as a DJ and later co-starred on the Netflix sitcom The Ranch. In 2017, the Los Angeles police began an investigation after 3 women came forward with serious allegations against Masterson, saying the incidents occurred between 2001 and 2003 at his Hollywood home. In June 2020, Masterson was arrested but released on bail as he awaited trial. The first trial, held in December 2022, ended without a verdict. However, a retrial in May 2023 resulted in a conviction on 2 of the charges, while the jury could not agree on a third count. Masterson was kept in custody until his sentencing hearing in September 2023, where Judge Charlene F. Olmedo sentenced him to 30 years to life in prison. Joe Sun. Joe Sun, best known for playing the villainous henchman Random Task in Austin Powers, international man of mystery, had a small career in B-level action movies during the 90s, including roles in Shoot Fighter, Fighter to the Death and Blood Fist 5, Human Target. However, behind his Hollywood appearances was a dark and serious past that eventually caught up with him. On Christmas Eve 1990, Sun was involved in a horrific crime where he participated in the kidnapping, assault, and torture of a woman. The case remained unsolved for years until an unrelated incident in 2008 revealed DNA evidence linking him to the crime. In 2011, Joe Sun was convicted and received a life sentence without the possibility of parole. Not long after starting his sentence, Sun's violent history resurfaced. In a shocking incident, he attacked and killed his prison cellmate using his mixed martial arts training. Although prosecutors sought another life sentence, Sun was ultimately found guilty of voluntary manslaughter and received an additional 27 years in prison. Darren Sharper, defensive back Darren Sharper, played in the NFL for 14 seasons, primarily with the Green Bay Packers and Minnesota Vikings. During that span, he led the league in interception return yards 3 times and interceptions twice, earning him 5 Pro Bowl selections, a spot on the NFL's All-2000s team, and a Super Bowl ring. Not long after he retired in 2010 and took a job as an analyst with the NFL Network, allegations about disturbing crimes he'd committed began to surface. In February 2014, police in New Orleans arrested Sharper and another individual on charges of raping 2 women in New Orleans the previous year. At the time, the ex-football star was also the subject of investigation in similar assault cases in Florida, Nevada, Arizona, and California. Investigations revealed that Sharper had also reportedly drugged the women prior to the assaults. In August 2016, a U.S. District Court in New Orleans sentenced Sharper to an 18-year and 4-month prison term, plus 3 years of supervised release upon his parole. 3 months later, a court in Los Angeles issued Sharper a 20-year sentence, to be served concurrently with the previous punishment. Tammy Sitch. Tammy Sitch, under the ring name Sunny, was a WWE superstar in the 1990s and 2000s. Acting the villain as part of the fitness-obsessed team the Body Donnas, Sitch managed her male teammates Zip and Skip when they won the tag team bout at WrestleMania 12. She'd ultimately go on to compete and perform for other wrestling operations, but would be enshrined in the WWE Hall of Fame in 2011. In March 2022, Sitch was arrested after crashing her vehicle into a car stopped at an intersection in Ormond Beach, Florida. The individual in that car, 75-year-old Julian Lassiter, died from injuries suffered from the impact. A sobriety test indicated that Sitch's blood alcohol level at the time of the accident was more than 3 times Florida's legal limit, and authorities found an open vodka bottle in her vehicle. A court disallowed Sitch's bond payment because the former wrestler had been arrested multiple times in 2022 already for public intoxication and for violation of a restraining order relating to a domestic violence charge. Sitch awaited her trial on DUI-related death in prison. In August 2023, she entered a no-contest plea and 2 months later was sentenced to 17 years in prison. Jen Shah. Of the dozens of upwardly mobile and entrepreneurial-minded women who have appeared on one of Bravo's many Real Housewives reality series, Jen Shah of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City is among the most memorable because her money-making endeavors landed her in prison. In 2021, Shaw and assistant Stuart Smith were indicted by the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York on charges of money laundering and wire fraud. From 2012 to 2021, Shannon Smith ran telemarketing operations that sold income-generating products and services that didn't exist in order to purposely defraud elderly consumers. After initially entering a not guilty plea on counts of conspiracy to commit wire fraud and conspiracy to commit money laundering, the second charge was dropped. Shaw agreed to a plea deal in 2022 and admitted to the wire fraud charge. In January 2023, Shaw received a 6.5-year prison sentence. Ian Watkins. Lost Prophets, a goth-tinged alternative metal band from Wales, rose to fame in the early 2000s with major rock hits like Last Train Home, which topped Billboard's alternative rock chart in the U.S. follow-up tracks like Wake Up, Make a Move, and I Don't Know solidified their place in the rock scene. At the center of the band's success was founder, songwriter, and lead singer Ian Watkins. However, in 2013, Watkins' career came to a shocking and devastating end when he was sentenced to prison after being convicted on 13 charges, described by the presiding judge as reaching new depths of depravity, according to the BBC. Watkins' crimes, all involving children, included multiple counts of assault, creating and possessing illegal content, and conspiring to harm a child. During the trial, Watkins' defense claimed that his heavy drug use left him with no memory of the crimes, but this argument was rejected. Two women who enabled Watkins by providing him access to the victims were also tried and sentenced to 14 and 17 years in prison. Watkins, who the judge said showed a complete lack of remorse and was a danger to society, received a 35-year sentence. The case remains one of the most disturbing scandals in modern rock history, leaving behind a legacy forever stained by Watkins' actions. Markrowski. Mark Gator. Rogowski was a prominent figure in the skateboarding scene of the 1980s, contributing significantly to the sport's growth as a professional and spectator event. By the age of 14, Rogowski was winning statewide competitions and earning more than $100,000 annually through prize money and endorsements. He was one of the first skaters to have a signature, celebrity-branded board, the Gator, produced by Vision. However, by the early 1990s, Rogowski's life took a dark turn as he struggled with substance abuse, leading to criminal violence. In 1991, after splitting with his partner, Rogowski reconnected with Jessica Bergston, a friend of his ex-girlfriend. After spending a day together, Rogowski attacked her using an anti-theft device known as the Club, then assaulted her, placed her in a surfboard bag, and strangled her. He later buried her body in the California desert. For these horrific crimes, Rogowski was sentenced to 31 years to life. While he became eligible for parole in 2011, his release was repeatedly denied. Parole approvals in 2019 and 2022 were reversed by California Governor Gavin Newsom, ensuring Rogowski remains behind bars. His story is a chilling reminder of how fame and talent can be overshadowed by devastating choices. Roy Estrada. In the 1960s and 1970s, Roy Estrada played bass for two of the most influential bands of the era. He was a member of the Mothers of Invention, working alongside the iconic Frank Zappa, and co-founded the swamp rock band Little Feat, contributing to several critically acclaimed albums. His music career left a lasting impact, but Estrada's later years were marked by serious criminal behavior that overshadowed his contributions to music. In the 2000s, Estrada faced legal trouble after being convicted in California for inappropriate behavior with a minor. Following his release, he moved to Texas, where he committed further offenses involving a young female relative under 14 years old. Unaware of his previous conviction, the child's caretakers unknowingly placed her in harm's way. For these crimes, Estrada reached a plea deal and, in 2012, was sentenced to 25 years in prison without the possibility of parole. Estrada's actions not only tarnished his legacy, but also serve as a grim reminder of the importance of vigilance and accountability in protecting vulnerable individuals. War Machine. When mixed martial arts exploded in popularity in the 2000s, War Machine, formerly known as John Koppenhaver, was one of the sport's rising stars. Competing from 2004 to 2013, he built an impressive record with 14 victories, including 8 by knockout or technical knockout, against just 5 defeats. War Machine fought in major circuits like Extreme Fighting Championships, Bellator MMA, and the UFC. He even appeared as a cast member on the UFC's reality TV series, The Ultimate Fighter. However, less than a year after his final fight, War Machine's life took a dark turn. In 2014, he was involved in a violent incident at the Las Vegas home of his former partner, which also resulted in harm to another person present. The case led to serious charges, with War Machine facing 31 counts in total. In 2017, a Nevada jury found him guilty on nearly all charges. The War Machine was sentenced to life in prison and will be eligible for parole in 2053. His story serves as a stark reminder of how destructive choices can lead to devastating consequences, regardless of fame or success. Bobby Bosley. Before he was a doomsday cult leader and a mass murderer who terrified Los Angeles in the late 1960s, Charles Manson was a musician. He recorded a single album and allowed the Beach Boys to record one of his songs. Other members of the Manson family were musicians too, notably Bobby Bosley, who played in several bands, including the Grassroots, later known as Love, best known for the critically acclaimed Forever Changes LP. After leaving that act, Bosley bopped around through various other psychedelic bands, including Orchestra and the Magic Powerhouse of OZ. Then Bosley joined the Manson operation, serving as a recruiter and a dutiful killer. On Manson's orders, he stabbed to death music teacher Gary Hinman. For this, the first murder attributed to the Manson family, Bosley was arrested, convicted, and in 1970 sentenced to death. When California eliminated capital punishment in 1972, Bosley's death sentence became a life sentence. He's been up for parole over the years, but never successful in his bid for release. As recently as 2019, California Governor Gavin Newsom vetoed a parole board's recommendation to let out Bosley. CMurder. New Orleans rapper CMurder, born Corey Miller, was convicted of second-degree murder for killing a teen named Steve Thomas in a nightclub in 2002. The rapper started serving a life sentence in Louisiana State Penitentiary in 2009, according to NBC News. However, there's a twist in his case. Since his incarceration, 2 major eyewitnesses came forward to recant their testimony. Plus, an unlikely ally has come to his defense: reality star Kim Kardashian. In April 2020, the Supreme Court determined that jury verdicts in trials involving serious crimes must agree unanimously. In Miller's case, he was convicted 10-2. Kardashian, who was studying to be an attorney, tweeted at the time, "Since his trial, witnesses have recanted, new evidence of his potential innocence has come to light, and there are claims of jurors being pressured into voting to convict." One witness, Kenneth Jordan, revealed that he was pressured to lie about CMurder because he feared being imprisoned himself on unrelated charges. The other witness, Darnell Jordan, also claimed he felt pressured to lie under oath. Meanwhile, the convicted rapper has claimed he's innocent of all charges. In 2023, however, a federal judge upheld CMurder's conviction, arguing the recanted testimony by Kenneth and Darnell Jordan wasn't reliable. Mel Hall. Mel Hall, a reliable and prolific hitter in Major League Baseball, made his debut with the Chicago Cubs in 1981 and had a breakout season in 1983, hitting .283 with 17 home runs and 56 RBIs. That year, he finished third in the National League Rookie of the Year voting. Hall later played for the Cleveland Indians and the New York Yankees, amassing nearly 1,200 hits and over 600 RBIs in his career. After leaving American baseball in 1992 to play in Japan, Hall briefly returned to the MLB in 1996 before retiring. Following his professional career, he transitioned into amateur sports, coaching girls' softball and basketball teams in Fort Worth, Texas. However, in 2009, Hall's life took a dark turn when he was convicted of crimes involving a 12-year-old player on his basketball team. He was found guilty of 3 charges of aggravated assault and 2 counts of indecency involving a child. Testimonies from teenage athletes revealed additional instances of inappropriate behavior, ranging from unwanted touching to explicit conversations. Hall was sentenced to 45 years in prison, with eligibility for parole after serving 22.5 years. His shocking downfall serves as a grim reminder of the importance of safeguarding young athletes in sports.